said. Okay? This is the admin's perspective. Oh, we can't release the Jeffrey Epstein documents because of the presence of child pornography. Okay? We know that that's what Pam Bondi has claimed already. No one wants that. No one wants there to be CSAM being circulated online. That's not the point here. Okay? No one wants to know. No, people are not even demanding to unearth the victims here unless they choose to come out themselves. People want affiliates. People want associates. People want information on the level of affiliation, what the entanglements look like. Okay? That's what people want. People want justice for others who were involved with Jeffrey Epstein. The idea that this is a conversation about like releasing CSAM is a misnomer, is completely ridiculous. No one is demanding that. Okay? The other reason why I think this is suspicious, this news article is suspicious in some ways, is because Trump already knew that he was mentioned in the Epstein files already. He had an extensive relationship with him from the 90s to the early 2000s. This is all public. There has to be something in there that he doesn't want the public to find out. Okay? It's not necessarily the fact that his name is mentioned in the Epstein files numerous times that is a shocking revelation. He knows that already. He knows that already. Okay? Everybody knows that already. Alex Jones has said that already. He always says, like, Trump was obviously mentioned in the Epstein files numerous times, but he says no involvement, no direct involvement whatsoever. So I think there is additional involvement with Trump and Jeffrey Epstein that we are not privy to, that he does not want out. Okay? In May, Bondi and her deputy informed the president at a meeting in the White House that his name was in the Epstein files, the official said. Many other high-profile figures were also named. Trump was told being mentioned in the records isn't a sign of wrongdoing. The official said it was a routine briefing that covered a number of topics, that Trump's appearance in the documents wasn't the focus. They told the president at the meeting that the files contained what officials felt was unverified hearsay about many people, including Trump, who had socialized with Epstein in the past. Some of the officials said. One of the officials familiar with the documents said that they contained hundreds of other names. They also told Trump that senior Justice Department officials didn't plan to release any more documents related to the investigation of the convicted sex offender because the material contained child pornography and the victim's personal information, the official said. Trump said at the meeting he would defer to the Justice Department's decision not to release any further files. The meeting set the stage for high-profile review to come to an end. Bondi had said in February that Epstein's client list was sitting on her desk to review. Trump said last week in response to a journalist's question that Bondi hadn't told him that his name was in the files. The administration didn't publicly announce the decision until weeks later on July 7th, when the Justice Department posted a memo on its website. The statement, which was unsigned, stated that a thorough review had turned up no list of Epstein clients, no evidence that would lead to an investigation of uncharged third parties, and no additional documents that merited public discourse or public disclosure. It said that much of the material would have been sealed in a trial to protect victims and to block dissemination of child pornography. Once again, the idea that there is no way to showcase additional revelations about who was involved with Jeffrey Epstein without like unearthing who the victims are is ridiculous. Typically, the FBI doesn't disclose materials that aren't related to a charged offense. This is another fake news story, just like the previous story by the Wall Street Journal, said White House Communications Director Steve Chung. In a statement to the Journal on Friday, Bondi and the Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche said nothing in the files warranted further investigation or prosecution. As a part of our routine briefing, we made the president aware of the findings. On Tuesday, Blanche said on X that the Justice Department was seeking to arrange a meeting with Ghislaine Maxwell in the coming days to discuss any possible information about anyone who has committed crimes with Epstein. Maxwell was found guilty in 2021, helping Epstein sex trafficking, and sentenced to 20 years in prison. She has been in custody since she was charged in 2020 and didn't testify at her trial. So once again, the retort from the attorney general here is, oh, you guys want to see CSAM, I guess, you pesky little freaks. And it's fucking ridiculous. Okay. No one wants to see CSAM. No one wants to see the actual victims. No one wants to know who the actual victims are. Everyone's interest in this case revolves around who are some of society's elites that were involved with Jeffrey Epstein and to what degree was their involvement. Okay? That's it. Anyone who tries to use this as the mechanism of deflection is perhaps one of the dumber people that have either A, cynically decided to use it as a form of deflection to stop you from demanding these answers, or B, was so stupid that they got duped by perhaps the worst possible way of defending Trump's lack of interest in revealing maybe even his own personal involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. More than what we know so far, more than what has been made public over the years. That's it. It is also additionally suspicious that the Trump administration is now working directly with Ghislaine Maxwell. Okay? But there is breaking news. House Oversight Committee has subpoenaed Ghislaine Maxwell. The deposition will happen at prison in Tallahassee on August 11th.
Brother, control room, Ian Maxwell, speaking to Piers Morgan yesterday. I think it's relevant because, you know, it's him pleading, basically, you know, buttering up Donald Trump on the subject of his sister. It's going to take us a minute to upload it, so we're gonna put that on hold for a second. But in the meantime, Ashley, I want to ask you the question that I asked Tim, which is, if this stuff ends up dirtying up Donald Trump or implicating Donald Trump or embarrassing him or just his name being in the files and it getting out there, how many supporters does he lose? Does he actually risk the MAGA base? Do they believe this conspiracy more than they believe in him?
I mean, again, part of that is unknowable. The MAGA base normally stays with him, but this is an area where we've seen real dissension, not just from some of the voters who want to get to the bottom of this, but even members of his own party who have, you know, put out statements and said publicly, look, you promised us that you were going to get to the bottom of the deep state, that you were going to get rid of all these.
What do I think is going to come from this Ghislaine testimony? I think it's going to be protection for Trump and other high-profile clients of Jeffrey Epstein. That's what I think. The only reason why Trump would ever allow this to happen is in exchange for leniency from his Justice Department. She is going to come out and be like, no one ever did anything criminal. It was only Jeffrey Epstein that did all these sex crimes. I wasn't even involved in those sex crimes, and I'm actually unfairly being prosecuted. Jeffrey Epstein acted alone. Okay? That's what I think she's going to do. She has already said things like that and ran cover for high-profile clients that we know of that have been actively sued and have actually been pushed away from the royal family, like Prince Andrews. So if she's already doing that for Prince Andrews, and if Jeffrey Epstein's close personal best friend / attorney, Alan Dershowitz, is also demanding that Ghislaine Maxwell come out and release her public testimony in broad daylight, then I'm, of course, going to be very suspicious about what that testimony is going to look like. I think that there is not going to be any truth in this testimony. I think it's going to be in exchange for leniency.
40-month sentence, right?
It's 16 more years, right?
Highly unlikely that the Supreme Court is going to take her case. The one question that she gave to them to review is, was she entitled to claim protection under that sweetheart deal that then U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta cut with Jeffrey Epstein? That's a deal that was supposed to extend to his co-conspirators.
By the way, Donald Trump's labor secretary,
Correct.
Alex Acosta, ended up having to resign because of the Epstein drama back in 2017 or 18 or
This
No,
is a
no,
pickle,
not
though, for him,
2017,
like, to go with
2019.
Ghislaine Maxwell, because Ghislaine Maxwell is awful, and she was mobbed up with all of these people. Like, she was mobbed up with Prince Andrew. There are pictures of her, obviously, with Trump and Bill Clinton, right? So if the Trump base wants these elites,
That's my
captured,
question.
right? Like, he can't make a deal with Ghislaine Maxwell, who is orchestrating the elite child trafficking. I mean, he can, and again, he'll have a core base of people to go along with him for everything. But like that other part of the world that cares about Epstein that he brought into his coalition, the Rogan crowd, giving a sweetheart deal to Ghislaine Maxwell is not the answer here for Donald Trump.
Can I play devil's advocate here?
Please.
Because what the Trump base is what I assume a big chunk of the Trump base is going to do is say these are documents that have been created by Democrats, by Obama, by Biden, by Eric Cole. Oh, just take your pick. Of
they're
course,
not.
None of that is true.
They're not doing that.
Right.
They're not
just
saying
gonna
that,
say
and they're
this
not
is the
doing
same
that.
witch hunt that we've had since
The people who care about this stuff are not saying that.
I mean, maybe some people do, but I don't think a big chunk of the base ditches him after this.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right about that. I think that
And
Donald
members
Trump
of Congress are going to follow what their base wants because they're up for re-election in 15 months.
Yeah, but I think you're right about the Rogan crowd, the extras that put him over the edge. The extras, exactly. Let me play another interesting piece of sound. This is from July 15th. A reporter asked Donald Trump if Pam Bondi had briefed him on what was in the Epstein files. Let me play what she said, or what Donald Trump said.
What did she tell you about the review? And specifically, did she tell you at all that your name appeared in the file?
No, she's given us just a very quick briefing, and in terms of the credibility of the different things that they've seen. And I would say that, these files were made up by Comey. They were made up by Obama. They were made up by the Biden we went through years of that with the Russia hoax, with all of the different things that we had to go through. We've gone through years of it.
Okay, so that was July 15th. Wall Street Journal reports in May is before July on the calendar. May, the AG and her deputy informed the president at a meeting in the White House that his name was in the Epstein files. Again, so he's told this in May, according to the reporting by the Wall Street Journal. He's asked by a reporter in July, and he says, no. Ashley?
So clearly, if the Wall Street Journal reporting is true, then that answer from President Trump is a lie, right? He was told this May, June, July, 3 months prior. He's asked if he was ever told this, and he says no. I will say one thing that is interesting that I had started hearing in the past week or so when I was reporting on this story was White House officials and Trump allies were going to great pains to explain to me, and what they were explaining was true, but to explain to me that just because a name appears.
I think that they're going to try to, the trick the Republicans will play now is, Ghislaine said Trump is in the clear and Dems won't push for the files because they know some of them and world leaders are listed as well. They expect this all to be over before the end of the year. They will try to pack this up, but I don't think they'll be able to get enough people on board. I think that if there's one area where Republicans do exercise a healthy amount of skepticism, perhaps maybe an unhealthy amount of skepticism from time to time, is issues like this one. I don't think it's like vaccines. Trump was Mr. Vaccines. He did, he rolled out the vaccines as expeditiously as possible, and yet his base did not actually step away from being vaccine skeptics. This is another issue that, regardless of Operation, the Operation Warp Speed style way that the Trump administration will try to pack this up in unison with the Democrats, I do not believe that there will be people in the base that will stop questioning things. Okay.
Kash Patel's statement. The memo released on July 6th is consistent with the thorough review conducted by the FBI.
No, I think there will be a lot more people that are still skeptical, even after the Ghislaine stuff. If anything, the Ghislaine stuff will just throw gasoline on the fire.
And this story is no different. And I will repeat what I said at the top. When you fuel a fire, you better be sure that you can control it. And I give a lot of I listened to Chuck Rosenberg when he says it is dangerous to release files or notes from prosecutors that have not concluded with a charge. It is dangerous to release unsubstantiated allegations or hearsay. They have been whipping this up, Donald Trump and his allies, now for years. And now they are in the position of demands from their own base to release what could just be hearsay and unsubstantiated allegations. Okay, everyone, that was quite an hour. We made it. Tim Miller, Jake Sherman, Lisa Rubin, Ashley Parker. Thank you guys very much. That'll do it for me today. Deadline White House starts.
Okay, well, let's get back to the Wall Street Journal article now. The breaking news coming out of Wall Street Journal, and the additional details of Donald Trump, what he knew. Additional details on what Donald Trump was informed on from the Jeffrey Epstein files to try to figure out why he does not want this information coming out. Where were we? The meeting. Okay. They told Trump. They also told Trump that a senior Justice Department officials didn't plan to release any documents. The meeting set the stage for the high-profile review to come to an end. The administration didn't publicly announce their decision until weeks later on July 7th. And this is when much of the saga began in terms of like Trump's base, understandably getting upset. The statement, which was unsigned, stated through a thorough review had turned up no list of clients, no evidence whatsoever. Typically, the FBI doesn't disclose it, blah, blah, blah. And in a statement to the Journal on Friday, Pam Bondi, the deputy attorney general, Todd Blanche, said nothing in the files warranted further investigation or prosecution. As a part of our routine briefing, we made the president aware of the findings. On Tuesday, Blanche said on X that the Justice Department was seeking to arrange a meeting with Ghislaine Maxwell in the coming days to discuss any possible information. Maxwell was found guilty in 2021 of helping Epstein sex trafficking and sentenced to 20 years in prison. She has been in custody since she was charged in 2020 and didn't testify at her trial. One of Maxwell's lawyers, David Oscar Marcus, confirmed the discussions and said, "We are grateful to the President Trump for his commitment to uncovering the truth in this case. Maxwell has been seeking to have her conviction overturned, contending she didn't receive a fair trial." Now, this is a crazy thing to say because they're making it obviously this is Ghislaine Maxwell's attorney saying this, but it's wild that they're making it seem like Ghislaine Maxwell is also an innocent party to this conspiracy, that she did not play a formative role, that she did not actively play a role in identifying and trafficking minors and even harming them personally beyond that, as you know, the court documents clearly showed. That's why she's serving a lengthy prison sentence. She was also engaged in the act of sexual violence against these minors as well. She was, again, convicted for this. She wasn't just charged. This wasn't just like an investigation. She was convicted of these crimes, convicted beyond reasonable doubt by a jury of her peers. Remember, make no mistake. So for her attorney to make it seem as though they are collaborating with the administration to declare her innocence, to find her innocence, is crazy. Both Epstein and Trump said years ago they had a falling out. Trump has said their friendship ended before the financier was indicted for soliciting prostitution in 2006. Epstein later pleaded guilty to procuring a minor for prostitution in 2008, served time in a Florida jail, and registered as a sex offender. When Epstein was arrested again in 2019, Trump said he hadn't talked to Epstein for about 15 years. Epstein died in jail that year while awaiting trial on federal charges of sex trafficking. FBI Director Kash Patel has privately told other government officials that Trump's name appeared in the files, according to people close to the administration. Patel declined to answer an inquiry from the Journal about the Epstein case. By the way, this is most likely people like Elon Musk that is being reported on here. Because remember when Elon Musk was talking about how Trump is not releasing the Epstein files because his name is mentioned on it numerous times. And everyone was like shocked by this revelation. Yeah, I think it was directly coming from Kash Patel. Kash Patel most likely told Elon Musk when they thought that there was an allegiance there. Patel declined to answer an inquiry from the Journal about the Epstein case, but said in a statement that the memo on the Justice Department website explaining why the department couldn't release more Epstein documents was consistent with a thorough review conducted by the FBI and DOJ. once again, these guys are behaving exactly in the same ways that they would if they were a part of the deep state, even though they were there to detangle and